Hello everybody, Spellsey back again with another video. Before we dive into this one, I just want to say thank you guys so much for all the support on the last two NMZ method videos. They have almost 300,000 views combined, and I promise you when I uploaded those, I had absolutely no idea that they would explode like that. Also being said, I want to apologize for having obsidian weapons go up in price as well as rune arrows. I had no intention of any kind of views like that, so either way, before we dive too far into this, we are going to be discussing the best way to AFK your magic training outside of splashing. Now, splashing, as you know, allows you to go ahead and attack something for 20 minutes straight, and then all you have to do is interact with your client after that 20 minutes, and you will continue to splash. Generally speaking, the rates for those are really low and very expensive. However, after messing around with this for quite some time, I believe I have found the best alternative to splashing if you don't mind the extra hit points experience. This will be done in Nightmare Zone, and we will be diving into that today. For this method, there are going to be a couple different gear options you can look into. I did play around with a lot, so although it might not make sense at first, just please take my word for it. I promise you there's a reason this video took 2 weeks to upload, and it was mostly because I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was doing and how to present this. There's usually a lot of questions in the last couple of videos, especially with people asking things like, what do absorption potions do, and what does dropping my hit points down to 1 do? At the time, I never had intended this to be like a super beginner's basic guide, and I forgot that there's a lot of people who haven't even touched Nightmare Zone, and I was just kind of making a video for the people who know about Nightmare Zone and have at least done it a couple of times. I just want to say, if you guys need points, go ahead and check out Soup's guide to 1.5 mil points an hour, and if you need to figure out how to even use Nightmare Zone at a beginner's level, EVscape has an awesome video. It's Nightmare Zone for Noobs. It was uploaded about 1.5 years ago. Nothing has really changed. That video has almost 500,000 views. Definitely go check that out. That would be the most credible video that I can think of, and I think that that would be the video that I would want to watch if I had no idea what I was doing either. And just as a quick little friendly reminder, a lot of the comments that I have gotten on the last 2 videos are usually people asking questions with pretty much content that's already been answered in the video. Just want to remind you guys that if you decide that you don't want to watch the full video, you might miss out on very important parts that make this method so much better than splashing. It is the exact same reason as the AFK range and the AFK melee methods being so much better than their alternatives. You have to keep in mind that we are doing this to AFK for as long as possible. If you understand that and you got everything else down, let's hop right into the video. So one of the cool things I noticed while doing this is that most of the Nightmare Zone bosses actually have a weakness to magic. Now, this took me a long time to figure out. For whatever reason, I never thought of just like wearing melee gear, but it actually ends up working that as long as you have a little bit of a magic bonus, the Nightmare Zone bosses that we're going to be using have negative magic resistances and are usually weak to it. Even if you check like their wiki pages, things like the Kendall are just really weak to magic and you can end up hitting on them very hard. So that means our goal is to survive for 6 hours straight, just like the last 2 videos. And that way we only have to interact with our computer once every 20 minutes while getting better experience than splashing and having it be just as AFK, if not more AFK than splashing. The loadout that we're going to be using today is full rune. However, if you have dragon, you can go ahead and put that on as well. I would not recommend using Barrow's gear because you're going to end up being more tanky than you need to be, and then you'll have to pay the repair fee. Granted, the repair fee is usually not too much, but it does add up over a long period of time, especially if you're looking at 100 to 200 hours of mage training. You're going to go through a couple mil in gear. If you decide to go ahead and use Barrow's gear regardless, then I would suggest you just going ahead and using Arims instead of what we have set up right here, as Arims does actually have high enough defense stats for you to be very tanky, but it also gives you higher magic accuracy as well. Now, if you don't want to use Barrows and you don't want to sink several million GP into repairing your armor, what I would recommend is getting a rune plate body, getting a rune plate skirt, getting, rune boots. You can do plate legs too, because, we're gender neutral these days. Alternatively, though, you can go ahead and get a dragon chain, dragon plate skirt, and dragon boots. Just make sure that you keep your magic bonus, a little bit around. I would try to keep it above plus 10. I'm sitting at plus 11 right now. I could probably switch out my boots and get something a little bit higher. But other than that, what I would recommend then from there on out is just get your magic gear, get your Sears ring imbued, get your Chaos Gauntlets. You absolutely have to have Chaos Gauntlets for this method unless you're using a different spell than I am, but I would recommend Chaos Gauntlets. Also make sure you have a Mystic Smokestaff. The Smokestaff gives you unlimited fire and air runes, which means you only have to buy either Chaos runes or Death runes or Blood runes. For the sake of this video, we are going to be using Chaos Runes, but I'll explain that a little bit more later. I like having a Book of Darkness because it's cheap and it works, but you can also use a Mage's Book, or if you're really balling, you can go ahead and get an Arcane Spirit Shield. That would be the absolute best thing for you to use. Otherwise, I have an imbued Zamorak Cape. You can go ahead and use a regular Zamorak Cape or Saradomin Cape or whatever. This is from the Mage Arena, not the one that's in the desert, but the one that's in the wilderness in level 55. You do a quick quest to go ahead and get your regular God Cape, or you can go ahead and do the second part mini quest a little bit later on to get you your imbued cape. If you don't have the imbued cape, no worries, just go ahead and use a regular God Cape instead. Now, an occult necklace is very cheap, and I would recommend going ahead and picking it up. It will be one of those items that does increase your XP per hour pretty significantly, as its bonuses help out significantly, so go ahead and pick one of those up. Now, for helmets, I prefer to run the Farseer helmet route. Of course, if you have more money, you can use the mage hat from Chambers of Xeric Ancestral. Otherwise, though, I like the Farseer helmet. It has just enough tanky stats. It's very similar to an Aram's helm. It gives you magic bonus, and it ends up providing pretty good resistances as well. So let's go back to talking about the gloves real quick. So I'm using Chaos Gauntlets because I'm planning on using Firebolt. Now, the Chaos Gauntlets give you higher damage with your magic attacks if you're using a spell that has Chaos Runes, which in this case would be Firebolt for us. So you go ahead and you use Firebolt, and then you'll end up doing more damage. That more damage ends up equating out to better XP per hour. Now, if you are not going to use Chaos Runes, let's say you have an endless amount of money, then what I would do is I would go ahead and get either Death Runes or Blood Runes, and if you decide to take that route, go ahead and switch out your gloves for either Barrow's gloves, or if you have the money or don't have the requirements, I would recommend using the Tormented Bracelet. That is the Zenyte bracelet that you can get from Demonic Gorillas. It is the magic bracelet, and it is very, very, very strong. However, I do not have the funds to do that at this moment. However, some of you might. And that's pretty much it. If you go ahead and check your defense bonuses and you see that you're about, plus 160 all the way around, or at least for your stab, slash, and crush, like, you're gonna do pretty well. Anything above that, and you should be lasting 6 hours plus. So, granted, this is with 85 defense. If you are like 70 defense, maybe you should prioritize getting like a Dragon Plate Cert because they're very cheap. But overall, we're going to be doing a normal Nightmare Zone just like we did in the past. So go ahead and start up that normal Nightmare Zone. One of the things I've noticed, though, is that you do not need potions for this aside from absorption potions. Mainly because magic potions just don't do much. If you have an imbued heart, you're more than welcome to bring it and see if you have any substantial XP gains, and just go ahead and use it periodically whenever you come back from being AFK. I personally don't have one, and they're a little expensive, so I would just use my 1 slot for Chaos Runes and then 27 absorption potions. I'd last 6 hours and average 45k XP an hour with the Chaos Gauntlets and Firebolt. That is pretty good. Now, realistically, I don't think Chaos Runes can go up in price. I think they're pretty much locked by like the Onyx price. Now, they're 100 GP right now at the time of making this video. On average, I was getting 41 experience every single hit, which means the cost of GP per XP for this is about 2.4 with Chaos Runes. That price goes up significantly as you hit Blood Runes and Death Runes, but if you decide that you want to go ahead and do Blood Rune spells, you can get up to 75k XP an hour. I didn't feel like it was necessary for me to do that because you can blow 20 mil really quickly, and I'm just doing it the slower way, but that is an option, and you guys definitely have the ability to go ahead and do that. But I would recommend, unless you have tons of money to spend and just don't care, that you'd stick with Chaos Runes and Chaos Gauntlets. It's the cheapest bang for your buck at 2.4 GP per XP. And when you guys are ready to go ahead to Nightmare Zone. Make sure you have at least 30k in your Dominic's coffer. If you have a quest cape, you will be able to get a 10k discount. Otherwise, your sessions will cost you 22,000 coins each. Go ahead and right-click Dominic Onion and hit Dream, and then go to Rumble and choose a customizable normal Rumble. You will want 12 or 22k, depending. Make sure you have all of your Chaos Runes with you, and you have your absorption potions as well. The bosses that you will be using for this are Trapped Soul, Count Draenor, Sand Snake, King Roald, and the Kendall. If you do not want to use King Roald, you can always go ahead and use the Tree Spirit. However, keep in mind that does hit a little bit harder, so you might want to consider going ahead and dropping your hit points down to 1 if you are a 1 defense pure, or if you just don't have that quest. Now, the reason you drop your hit points down to 1 is so that way when you use your absorption potions, the boss can only hit you max for what health you have available. So if you have full health, then it can hit you for whatever its max it is. For example, the Kendall can max a 9. It'll be able to hit you a 9 unless you only have 1 health, then it can't possibly hit a 9, it can only hit a 1. That is why you drop your health down. I never said that in the last videos, but in case you wanted to know why, that is why. But again, for me, I'm using Trapped Soul, Count Draenor, Sand Snake, King Roald, and the Kendall. Those quests, respectively, are the Ascent of Arceus, which can be found on Zaya. Count Draenor is Vampire Slayer. Sand Snake is the Depths of Despair, which can also be found on Zaya. Both of those Zaya quests take maybe 20 minutes tops, and I highly recommend you do it. King Roald is from What Lies Below, and the Kendall is from Mountain Daughter. Again, make sure you're using a normal Nightmare Zone. This is important because normal bosses will not hit very hard. You absolutely need to have it like that, or otherwise you will run through your absorptions very fast. And just a quick note, you will most likely start bleeding points using this method. For range, you usually get a little bit of a surplus. For melee, you absolutely get a surplus, but for mage, you pretty much lose probably 30,000 points every inventory or so. Granted, only losing 30,000 points every 6 hours is not too bad, but you will want to make sure that you go back and farm some points if you're low on points like myself. I ended up actually draining a lot of my points because I buy the herb boxes every day, and buying the herb boxes every day as well as doing this and not getting any more points, I ended up draining my points very fast. So again, check out Soup's guide for the points guide. I know it's a Soup guide, but it's not a quest guide, okay? It's actually very well done, and I think you did a great job. Alright, now once you are in Nightmare Zone, go ahead and stand in between these two gray things. One looks like the musical instrument that someone posted in the comments what it was, and I still forget. And the other thing looks like a piece of armor right there. So make sure you stand right in between these two. Now go ahead and center your map and walk one tile north. You absolutely have to walk one tile north. If you do not stand here, you run the risk of logging out. Monsters can get stuck, but if you stand right here, that little blood spot that's right next to you, that is a monster spawn. You absolutely want to make sure that you stay there. And since we are tanky enough, now we will not have to go ahead and lower our hit points. We can just safely AFK here and pretty much not touch the computer for another 20 minutes, and that'll be that. And you guys will be making 45,000 experience a pop every hour. Now what I end up doing for this, because usually I'm out of the house when this is going on, what you can do is you can access your computer through a remote desktop application. Some people like to use TeamViewer. I like to use Chrome Remote Desktop. Pretty much what it does is it allows you to get the app on your phone and the app on your computer, and then you're able to log into your computer from your phone. Doing this allows you to be able to AFK RuneScape without having to use the mobile app. A lot of us, when we're using the mobile app, realize that if you close the app for too long, you will automatically log out. This solves that problem. Since essentially you are staying online on your computer at home, all you have to do is go ahead and remote in to your desktop at home, refresh every 20 minutes, either, drink another absorption potion or go ahead and just flip a tab or whatever you have to do, and then you will go ahead and you will be active for another 20 minutes. This is exactly how I did all my melee training, this is exactly how I did my range training, and it is exactly how I am doing my magic training right now. Again, like I said, I use Chrome Remote Desktop, but this is not a sponsored video. You can use whatever you want. I just think it's the most convenient. TeamViewer probably works as well, but however, I have not personally used it for this. Either way though, guys, it's pretty much all I have. Thank you for all the support in the past and going forward. I don't know when my next RuneScape video will be. I do have a money-making guide for Busy-scapers that I want to put up, but Spellbreaker has just released, and I'm having a lot of fun playing that game. And as you guys know, I'm not 100% a RuneScape content creator anymore. I like to dive more into variety, so you're more than welcome to watch those videos. If not, well, then the next RuneScape video, I will see you guys there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Click the subscribe and the notification button if you'd like, and I will see you all in the next video.